Good evening, guys, and welcome back to another FRL podcast. We are here for Season 5, Round 2, before the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm joined by the all-new lineup this week, which is myself, Mr. Jay Hartnell, Swinney, and Pimis, who could not make it last week, but is here this week. How are we tonight, guys?
Very well, Jack, very well. Not complain.
No complaints at all. Very well, Jack. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Pimis. Very good, thank you. You may need to turn your mic up a little bit. It's just gone back to being very quiet again. How are you, Winfield?
I'm doing alright, thank you very much. And I've been brave in the sim racing world. I've broken my duct and I've finally purchased a wheel.
There you go, you're now one of us.
You're not allowed in Tier 2 next year, though.
Do you know what it is, though? Like,
Yeah.
all of my strengths come from the fact I've been basically a controller racer with no line since probably like the 2006 F1 game. So there's so much muscle memory built into that, and I've got nothing going into racing with a wheel. So, yeah, brave new world for me. Brave new world.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to judge you if you do temporarily put line on. But yeah, I think you'll do absolutely fine, mate.
You will. Did you get a seat to go with it as well?
I've just ordered the seat and the pedals. I don't know what one I'm gonna do. I might just end up upgrading it to like a full sort of seat and rig for it. It might end up going that way now. I'm all in. Not yet. I'm just thinking of just bolting it to my desk and then putting the pedals under my desk, and then I'll see, just hopefully they won't move when I'm racing, and then I'll realise they will and feel I need something a bit more sophisticated. But we'll learn on the way. We'll enjoy it. We'll enjoy it.
You'll probably
Exactly,
have to
you
put
don't-
some
yeah.
duct tape underneath it.
You'll enjoy the journey anyway.
Nah, I think Bowie will, if he means he can start finishing ahead of me a bit more regularly in the short term.
Well, it had to happen some way, mate, and if it means you getting a wheel, then I'll take it anyway, shape or form. For me, I don't know if it's the same for you, Hartnell. The hardest thing I found with Will was getting used to changing gear with
Yes.
the paddles. It's a
Yeah.
lot harder than people think it is.
It is.
To kind
It
of
is.
like
So-
train yourself.
Yeah, so well and good, isn't it, having that sort of like little indication down the bottom right-hand side, but it's just pretty much all down to feel, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And
think
things
we're-
like short shifting, I always forget to change gear, and then I'm there like, oh no, I'm redlining. So, Swinney, that might be the one thing that you probably have to get used to. But you do manual gears on controller anyway, don't you? So,
Only for the last 3 months. I always used to use automatic gears because I never thought I'd get used to having my thumb changing the gears up and down. But honestly, about 10 days of practice and I got there, and it just feels like second nature now. So I'm just hoping to pick it up just as quickly with the wheel. So I like to think I'm a quick learner. So we'll yeah, that might come back and bite me saying that in a future podcast. But that's what I'm going to go with now. I'm going to be a quick learner and I'll be up to speed in no time.
I will also say, you will make the mistake when you're turning a corner, accidentally pressing your shift up or shift down button.
or
That
the
does happen.
hated double shift out of a corner. For
Oh,
some
yeah.
reason, no
Oh.
one can explain it, but for some reason
No.
your hand will just spasm and you'll pull the lever twice instead of once. Like,
Yeah.
I sometimes put it back into neutral by accident. That's also not a very good advice.
I do that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do that on my controller, mate. So I probably will just do that even more. I'm just worried that if I can't get the grasp of the lack of assist that I do, like suddenly my record of like being very good at getting to the end of races, and suddenly I'll be like DNFing en masse. So we'll see.
It just means we've all got to get on some 5-lappers when Swinney gets his wheel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
No damage for obvious reasons. Front wings will go everywhere.
Well,
No, I love that. But yeah, so we went off a little bit off talking about Michael and his wheel. Well, I'd say off topic. I'd say that was a warranted discussion. But should we go through? Obviously, we've got the last week's Tier 1 stream on the screen at the moment for you all to see. Should we have a little rundown of last week, guys, since the four of us are in the race?
Oh, yeah, bear with me. I'm just going to make that one smaller and then bring up the race results whilst you guys just talk everyone through it.
Cool. Well, I'd say driver of the day out of the four of us has got to be you, Hartnell. So if you want to maybe give us a rundown of your perspective.
Really?
You finished highest out of the four of us.
Yeah, nothing much more than luck, I don't think. It was, yeah, well, from my side, it was pretty uneventful, to be brutally honest, apart from the last two laps, where obviously it was Jamie and who was the guy? I think it was Don Arjun, or someone like that. That was absolutely rapid. Obviously came in, I think it was lap 25, came on and fit on a set of softs, was absolutely blistering pace towards the end of the race. But yeah, from my point of view, yeah, P8 should have been P7, but unfortunately, the better driver came on top. Jamie just had a bit more pace. He pitted a bit later than what I did. Just had a bit more pace towards the end of the race. But I'll tell you what, I've got to say, that Q2, some of the times in Q2 were absolutely blistering. That was insane. I think there was like 4 drivers, weren't there, that were so close, and the times were in the 26s, 27s, weren't they?
Sorry, mate, you'll have to remind me what Q2 is, so I didn't get through last week.
It's alright, mate, there's tier 2 just below. You can go in that one if you want. Yeah,
it was close, wasn't it? It was very close.
Yeah, some of the times were just absolutely extraordinary. I haven't seen times like that from 4 or 5 drivers around Bahrain. Well, in my time anyway, the sim racing, it was just unbelievably quick. I don't think any one of us could get anywhere near those kind of times. Just insane.
Wow. And I think they were practically all of them were on the mediums as well, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
I believe I actually won Q2, but that was because I went onto the softs in the final lap, and I think it was I'm not sure who it was, but just one other driver who was also on the softs.
You can tell Pimis finished race 17th because he's just said he won Q2.
Thank you. I had an amazing race, but I binned it in the curb of death, so yeah, that was shit.
Oh yeah, I was just behind you when you done that. Yeah. I nearly followed you as well.
Thanks for reminding me. It's very blurry, so it was a great start for a new season again for me. Hopefully, it will not be the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think for me, lightning just struck twice. Because at the first race of last season, had a spin, got wing damage, needed the safety car to really pull me back to the field, but one never came. And it's always when you really need a safety car, it just does not happen. And yeah, with lap 2 to lap 29, I thought my race was really, really good. I had a good pace. I extended my first my stint on the hard so I could go onto the soft later on. My lap 1 just let me down. First corner, just full fuel. I just misjudged how early I'd have to brake. Got wing damage. And that was all she sang really for the race. Just recovery drive from there on in. But yeah, lap 2:29 pace was really I felt was strong. So in good stead for tonight if I could just avoid getting tangled in turn 1.
Well, at least you got a point, huh?
Yes, when this happened at the start of last season, I finished where you did in P17 and got no points. So it is actually progress from having a crash and waiting, hoping for a safety car which doesn't turn up, and just finishing somewhere towards the back. So 1 point more than I did this time last season.
Yeah, I think we better touch on Jack's race. How was your setup, Jack?
Look, it's funny you mentioned that. I didn't really put the correct setup on. I decided to put my Williams Bahrain setup from my co-op career in Season 2, which is a car that's faster than the standard Mercedes now. So it just didn't work, really. Swinney had a wing change lap 1 and finished, I think, 2 seconds behind me at the flag. So I was just pottering around, looking at the scenery, watching Alpha's comms at points because I just could not keep up with anybody. But I got to the end, so progress. We're getting there.
Just made it to the end anyway.
Definitely, we all did as well. The 4 of us did make it to the end, which didn't always happen last year. There was quite a few times with one of us would retire.
Now I can't speak for.
Do the last one. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I can't speak for you, Pimis, but we did say last podcast, like if something happens, keep going because you get points down to 15th, and you never know, you may end up with a point or two. Didn't work out for you, Pimis, so that you're setting a bad example. But for all 3 of us, look what happened.
I have to say, I was in P15, I think, for when I started the final lap, but then I was out of fuel, so I fell back to P17 because I was gambling for a safety car, but I don't think there was one.
No, that's why I didn't get any higher than 15th, but that just meant I didn't catch the field, but I had plenty of fuel at least, so.
Well, you learned
No, definitely. Big shout out as well to Alfa Romeo's #1 driver, been promoted last night, I've been told. Wild Dog has taken that spot off of Big Balls Bells for finishing ahead of him last week. I'm only saying that because I think Kevin's in the stream.
I must admit, it's not been a good week for Kevin, really, has it? In terms of sim racing, it's not been great at all.
Is it because he's got a new wheel and he's trying to get used to it?
He'll say that. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's what
I think he's just run out of talent. I think he's just run out of talent. I think that's what it is.
Swinny's only saying that to get his excuses in now. He will arrive.
We'll see you on track, Swinny.
Facing the wrong way, but yes.
You are facing the wrong way.
Oh dear.
I love it. Should we give a little talk about Tier 2 last week?
Yes, bear with me. I haven't got the race results, unfortunately. Yeah, we've done our best tonight, guys, because Discord is having a bit of a mare tonight, so we'll be able to drag what we can. So I can find the Tier 2 standings instead, which gives a good indication because we had a good turnout from full-time drivers.
We did, yeah. Discord is just doing Discord things at the moment and breaking quite frequently.
Would we expect anything more?
Wow, no, not really. There we go. Okay, we can make that out actually. Unfortunately, we had to crop the image when it was very small because I couldn't actually click on the image in Discord without it erroring. So, but we can kind of make out the stand-ins from there.
It seems like Bruce had a great start.
Yes, his No Line Ventures started off excellently, so...
Some would say it's a fine line. Been planning that all day.
Deary me. We lost a viewer because of that, Jack.
Oh no, sorry, come back. I won't joke again for the rest of the pod.
No, from what I gather, it was pretty dominant from Scenario, wasn't it? I think he dominated Q1, Q2, and Q3 and for the race.
Yeah, from what I remember, his Driver of the Day nominations were pretty heavily weighted in his way, so it sounds like had the best start possible, and yeah, look, fighting to get back into Tier 1, or maybe he'll just enjoy having the easy ride in Tier 2, but you know what, I'm not going to go into too much slander on him because he's a very happy Forest fan like me, who's enjoying our FA Cup win last night, so drink it in, even when we beat Liverpool, but...
Isn't this your first, off topic, your first quarter-final since you played, is it Bayern Munich? Am I going to get that wrong?
No, you're correct. The last time we were in any quarter-final cup competition was the 1996 UEFA Cup against Bayern Munich.
Well, that's got to be a reason for all fans to be happy, so that's definitely worth a mention. You're playing someone better than Bayern Munich, though, so I'm only saying that because I'm a part-time Liverpool fan.
Oh God. Right. I'm just remembering you don't. He's a Bristol Rovers fan. I'm not accepting
I know.
any more slander of just trying to go. Oh, did Liverpool beat Forest? Guess who I choose to support whenever Liverpool beats someone that a friend supports? It's not having it.
I have had a lot of stick for it. Basically, little backstory: the first ever football game I watched was Liverpool AC Milan in the Champions League final 2005. But the first actual football game I went to see was Bristol Rovers, which is my hometown. So I wouldn't say I'm a mad Liverpool fan, but they'd be my team of choice if I choose to see who's getting on in the Prem. But my home team is obviously the mighty Gas.
You just like them when they win. Just be honest, Bowie. Come on.
I supported Liverpool when we had Paul Konchesky at right back, so definitely not a glory hunter fan.
And Paul Konchesky was
Saying
so
that,
good.
You're making me sound really old now, because I remember the times before Paul Konchesky.
Jordan Arisa.
Yeah.
Paul
What a player. What a player.
so good for Paul Konchesky. They sent him on loan to Forest. Couldn't believe it.
That is why I said his name as well.
I knew that. I knew that was what you're going for the nibble there. But yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we did finish the playoffs that season as well. And he came in because we only had Ryan Bertrand on loan for the first half of the season. And he sent him on loan to the Premier League in the second half of the season, so he needed somebody else, and he was the only person available.
Yeah, I don't think there was a big shopping list for him. A big list of people after him at the time. But yes, apologies. We keep going off topic. It's what happens when you don't script anything. You just put four guys in a party chat and tell us to talk away. But yeah, very, very good result for Scenario last week. I would like to say as well, a good result for AFL. He started last year very slowly, didn't he, Hartnell?
Yeah, he came into
it.
Yeah, he came into it. I think it was about 4 or 5 races in, and sort of built himself up. And towards the end of the season, I would say he was right up there as being the quickest person on the grid towards the end of last season for sure. So yeah, great result for and Mystery as well. Mystery had a great result as well last week.
It's good having Mystery back as well because he did take some time out, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So it is really nice having him back. And obviously, yeah, it's a very, very tight field. Like we've got DNF, Bruce. Obviously, they didn't have great results. Twisted Science is in there, and Rizzle. If you're looking at the bottom half of the table, they are people that you probably would have thought would have had a chance of being in the top half anyway. So obviously, it is only round one. A long way to go, and a completely different circuit tonight, which will make it interesting.
I think if you look through the whole field of Tier 2, every single one of them can win a race at some point throughout the season.
I'd agree with that.
No, I can't see too many people that will completely run away with it. I think there's going to be a good sort of percentage, or say probably a good 6 or 7. That'll be right up there until the last few races of the season.
Definitely. I think we may have a few instances like almost with you, Hartnell, where you were just like consistently there and then had a couple of really, really good results and then really put your stamp on it sort of thing. So we could see lots of changes in the season this year with the standings.
That's it. I think it is with Tier 2. It's sort of, obviously with Tier 1 you got your absolute speed demons.
Thanks.
But within Tier 2, it's literally, if you can get 1 or 2 results and just literally just carry momentum, that's exactly what it's all about. Just stay out of trouble, just carry momentum, and I think you're in for a great season.
No, 100%. Should we, before we obviously talk about tonight, should we have a look at the constructor standings from the 2 races combined, just after round 1?
Oh, just like that, once I move everything around properly. Yes, here we go. Here are your constructor standings after round 1.
Do we have to look at them?
Well, it's actually very, very close, but it is only round 1. But obviously we've got Ferrari leading the way on 55, Alpine, Haas, AlphaTauri, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Williams, McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston Martin at the
Get off.
moment.
Haas in the top 3? What's going on?
You would have thought it was Bowie and realistic.
I'm just glad that I could help my own team, Alpine, to get a P2 in standings with all the points that I gathered.
So,
There you go, mate. That spin last week didn't go in vain.
Yeah, Pim, it's me and you are the definition of getting carried at the moment. at the moment.
At the moment, yes, but the season is very young. We have a long time to go.
Well, great result for Ferrari, though. It's good to see them back at the top.
Yeah. I also somehow like the fact that Mercedes is a little bit down to the bottom.
I tell you what, if that's the order after round 1 in Bahrain next weekend, we will be in for a cracker of a season. So
Yeah, definitely. You imagine Haas in P3.
Depends who they get as their second driver.
I would be absolutely ecstatic if that was the case, being a Haas fan. I think you would have to get a spatula and scrape me off the ceiling, I think, if that happened.
It would be amazing. It is interesting to see who they get in. Obviously, I think all the facts point to Fittipaldi, but I personally would like a more experienced guy in there.
Me and Rizzle touched on it on Sunday. Apparently, K-Mag is back in the ring.
Yeah, I heard that.
To come back, which obviously for me personally would be amazing.
Well, he knows the team.
Does I think personally for Mick Schumacher, he does need somebody with a little bit more experience. Just that's why I was a bit surprised sort of last season when they got rid of Grosjean and Magnussen. I would have thought they would have kept one of them on just to try and bring Mick Schumacher on a little bit. I know he's had Sebastian Vettel in his corner.
Yeah,
this year, but
they probably already knew that they were going to have a shitty car, and maybe thought that the two of them just could gain some experience over the year, preparing for this year's competition with probably a better car. Well, hopefully a better car.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to have a strong teammate as well, because I think from Nick's perspective, obviously he'd never admit this or not, and I'd never be fortunate enough to meet him to ask the question, but if you've got a teammate that's not as good as you instantly relax a bit more. And I think there have been loads of instances with young teammates when they're paired with another rookie driver, they don't tend to do as well as you'd expect. And when you put them in a team with someone more experienced, they suddenly find half a second or they find a couple of tenths in their outright speed. So I'd be interested to see if they put him in I want Mick to be in a team where he's not out qualifying and out racing his teammate every week, because I don't feel like that should happen for a rookie, because it kind of shows that the other rookie, take nothing away from Mazepin, I do think he's a talented driver, but I don't think he was quite on the same level as Mick last year.
No, you just have to put it into context, don't you? It was, do you remember around Hungary when Mick was pushing Max Verstappen off the track, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He's got some fire in his belly. He's definitely a quick driver. There's no doubt about that. I think given the right tools and equipment, he will definitely do a job. And it's the same. I think it was in Monaco, wasn't it? There was a couple of times that Haas should not have been in Q2 last year, but Mick Schumacher managed to get
Turkey as well. I think he got through.
There's no chance that Haas should have been in Q2, but he managed to actually qualify Williams, George Russell, and get it into Q2. So kudos. The talent's definitely there for sure, and I completely agree with you. Yeah, I think he needs someone just to push him a little bit before we see the full potential.
Yeah, and I think if it was going to go down to more experience, it probably would be Magnussen over someone like Hulkenberg, who's a free agent, just because Magnussen knows the team and he's a bit younger than Hulkenberg.
Yeah, and plus Drive to Survive would be entertaining next year, wouldn't it, with Gunther Steiner and Kevin Magnussen back? That'd be good fun.
No doors being smashed in season 5, guys.
Kevin Magnussen, if you're listening, I urge you to go back and join Haas.
Yeah, if you're one of our 5 viewers, K-Mag, drop a comment, give us a sub. Obviously on Prime, don't want to break the bank, but give us a sub. Love it. But apologies, we've gone off topic again. But Spain tonight, how are we feeling for Spain?
Absolutely horrified.
I rate that. Harder, Swinny, mate. How are you guys feeling for Spain?
Go on, Swinny, I'll let you go first.
Well, I think we're very lucky that within the FRL server, well, in the extension to it, we also raced in realistic on Saturday, and that was at Spain. So I feel like all of the practice I need, I've done a 50% race already. And do you know what? I quite like Spain. I sort of similar to Bahrain, any track where the one stop is feasible but the two stop is also competitive. I love the mixture of strategies in them, and this is just another one. Compared to real life, there is more overtaking opportunities at this track than you get realistically. So, yeah, I am quite excited for tonight.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a big fan of Spain as well. Quite like a good old Spain race. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have any wet weather.
I'm
Ones,
giving everything cross for it.
Oh, yeah, you would.
Whilst I won't control that, I'm keeping everything cross for it.
Yeah, but it's just that first sector, isn't it? If you hook out that first sector, you're in for a great lap, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, not to give away my trade secret, but my setup has 11 wing, which is mad because on the straight line you are a sitting duck. However, turn 3, because it's such a sort of medium high speed corner where you need all the downforce, you fly around turn 3. So anything you lose in the run down to turn 1, as long as you're still ahead, you make up again by the time you get to turn 4.
I've got to admit, yeah, normally I'm one for running a bit lower wings, but yeah, I'm the same as you. I think I'll run 11-11 around here.
Yeah, me too.
I think I run 8-10. But I found my setup was quite snappy on Saturday. I had fun and it was a really good race and the pace was there, but it was a bit feisty, let's say. So higher wings are definitely favoured, I feel.
Again, I just made a mistake on strategy. I put on mediums at a safety car thinking there'll be another one. I don't need to take these tyres till the end. Everyone at the front around me put on hard tyres, and then I just couldn't take the tyres any longer, so I had to come in and put softs on. Paid off though, because one driver who did do the same as me tried to take mediums to the end, and on the penultimate lap they got a puncture. So I did end up coming P4, so I thought it was a very good recovery considering that I did put the wrong tyre on at the safety car.
No, well, I will say also, Swinny and I did the unthinkable where he pit in front of me. Pimus, you'll hate to hear this because of the amount of times you got held up in the pits. Swinny pit in front of me, and as the jackman, as like the light went green and he went, the rear jackman moved out the way, and I entered the pit box as he left, and I didn't get held up, and it was the best feeling ever.
That's amazing.
I'll send it to Bruce for next time.
Thanks. I'm very happy that he's not in tier 1 anymore because this happened literally every race.
Oh dear.
I'm not sure if you're listening, Bruce, but I wish you all the best in tier 2.
And Ricky, if you're listening, you know what to do.
No, I do agree though. It is a fantastic track, I think, especially with the potential of a 1 or a 2 stop. But what do we think in terms of tonight? Should we do tier 1 first? Or tier 2 first? We'll do tier 2 first.
That's good.
Yeah, tier 2's hard. I think it's a closer field than tier 1, because as tier 1 proved last week, like the top half of that field is so quick, but tier 2 is harder to go. So, we don't ever predict pole, but I'll say Villeneuve on pole because they always are. Then, so we hold without Discord seeing checkouts. We will go Daz Parker to win, Scenario 7 in the second, Jack DNF third, and a wild card of Becco.
That's a good shout, to be fair. That's very good. Yeah, all right, I'll go second. I'm going to go with. If we're doing pole, yeah, I completely agree with Michael on this one. Yeah, I think Villeneuve pretty much had pole every single race last season, so I can't. It's hard to sort of bet against that. But in terms of first, second, and third, I want to go with AFL. I think it's going to win this one. In second, Scenario, and in third, Jack DNF. And with the wild card, it's hard not to rule him out, to be honest, because he's always there or thereabouts, is me man Moody.
Go on. Can I go?
Yeah, you go ahead, mate. You go ahead.
Cool. Yes, I'm not exactly sure who's racing and who's not, but I think Villeneuve will win. Followed closely by Scenario, and P3 will be, I think, for Jack DNF as well. And I have to give my wildcard to Bruce, because I think he learned a lot from last race, where he of course finished outside of the points. But he's probably a quick adapter, and yeah, I think he has good chances. I mean, he's quick, and last year in Tier 1, he was getting closer and closer to top 6, I think, so chances are there.
Definitely. I've just messaged DNF and asked him to take out the braking board for turn 1.
That's beautiful.
You don't need the
Actually,
braking board.
Smalley is driving without a racing line as well, I think, so we can do that as well in Tier 1.
Is Smalley racing? We'll get to Tier 1 in a moment. But Tier 2, for me, I'm going to say Villeneuve for P1, and I'm going to say Twisted Science for P2 and Moody for P3. And I'm basing that off Moody was actually pretty quick on Saturday, wasn't he, Swinney? In realistic.
He was around about us, and you know the important thing is he was consistent with his pace, and the consistency matters here. So as long as that consistency stays, he's going to be with a shout.
You've also got to remember he was in a Mercedes on Saturday as well. In realistic.
You have just publicly shamed Moody on our live stream.
I have. Yeah, there is nothing that I wouldn't say to his face.
Going off of that, I'm going to have to then put Nibby as P3. Sorry, Moody. No, joking. Nibby's going to be my wild card. I'm keeping Moody P3. Nibby's my wild card for tonight. But Tier 1. Pimis, did you want to take us away on that one? You mentioned obviously Smalley's racing without line, did you say?
Yeah, and I also saw today in the Discord that he thinks that he's a lot quicker than last week. So he already said to Dixon that Dixon should beware of him and watch his back. Still, I think Dixon will have the best cards to win tonight at Spain. I think followed by Kevin and then Smalley. And then my wild card. Yeah, that's actually a difficult one. I think I have to give it to Ricky.
Are you just saying that because his dad's watching?
Because what?
Are you just saying that because Romans is in the stream?
Oh, I actually didn't know this. No, of course I say this because he's my teammate. And also he's quite quick.
Yeah,
Quite.
He's no slouch, is he?
I was going to say quite.
No slouch, yeah, no
Very
slouch.
in bold, quick.
I was going to say, the reason there's Romans in the chat, not Ricky, because Ricky's hard away practicing whilst we're here chatting on our podcast.
Yeah, he's got the match fitness in, and we're rusty, just coming back from injury.
Oh dear, right. For Tier 1 myself, Let's go Smalley to win. We'll say Dixon second because I know he's reserving in a Red Bull tonight in place of Warrior Huntsman. I did remember that bit of information while Discord went down. And P3, I will go with Ricky, not because of any bias towards him. I just know they're a very, very good driver. And my wild card will be. I'll go with Carlos Killer because they were excellent in round one, I thought, actually. And I think they can do it again.
Yeah, he done really well considering he had side pod damage as well, didn't he, throughout the race? He done really well. Right then, my choice. I see what you mean. It's difficult, isn't it? It's going to be. I think I think P1s and 2s is going to be Smalley and Dixon, isn't it? In whatever order they may be, it's definitely be them 1 and 2. In terms of P3, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go with my teammate, Lewis Tabika. Right. I think he's quite quick if he can keep it on track and not have the incidents. I think he'd be right up there. And in terms of the wild card, just purely based on Saturday, guys, I'm gonna put you two as Michael and Jack as my joint wild cards, just because I think you've got the upper hand, having raced there on Saturday.
What just collide now? I can see it happening.
You have to choose. You cannot pick both.
No, you see, I'm the team boss and realist. I can't do that to my drivers, can I? Surely. Oh yeah, fuck it, Michael. Go on then, Michael. You're my wild card.
I was going to say, I beat him in quali and he beat me in the race, so we were a 50 split. But it's good to know where your loyalties are, Hartnell.
It's quite easy to find another driver, mate. No worries.
Oh no, I've spoken too much. I take it back. Well then, I will do my predictions. I'm going to go... It's just Smalley, Dixon, and Kevin, but what order? Because Kevin's quick at Spain. He says he says he hates every track, to be honest. And obviously he did have a bad week last week. Well, I say bad. He just had an unlucky week last week. So he's definitely going to want to write that. But I think it will be Dixon, Smalley, Kevin with. I'm not going to say Ricky is my wild card just because I feel like we'd expect him to be there. So I don't think that's necessarily a wild card if he probably merits being in the top 5 every week anyway. But I am actually going to say Pimis for this one. Not just because you're here, just because previous races with you at Spain, you're very fast there. So if you can keep it clean and not spin like last week, then I genuinely think you'll be up there.
Well, I appreciate that, but please take in mind that I'm on some new gear today.
Carlos Killer. No, Carlos Killer. It was out of you two. But if you're telling us you've got new gear tonight, then you're already down there, mate.
I literally feel like a Haas driver who gets in the car for the first time and is like 3 seconds off the pace.
How dare you disgrace my hat. Unbelievable.
Third in the standings, a disrespect.
Exactly.
I'm referring to the real deal, guys.
You can't say that until testing this week.
Well, we had testing last week.
Yeah, it wasn't bottom though. That's the important thing.
I'm very looking forward to testing on Thursday, by the way. I think Bahrain is a great track. It's always nice to see the cars there.
It is. I think it's a great test track, isn't it, Bahrain?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that as well, to be honest. Also, speaking of testing, obviously starting this week, have you seen the Mercedes news?
Apparently they're bringing upgrades, aren't they?
Apparently they're going to have a completely different looking car with the side pods completely redone that's going to find them apparently a whole second in pace. And that's kind of upsetting if that's true, just because I wanted someone different to win it this year. But if that is true, that's got to be exciting, surely.
Yeah, I must admit, the delivery of the season has got to go to Ferrari, isn't it? Those wing ducts and like the side pod ducts, the shark fins, they're just absolutely extraordinary.
I've got a silly question about Ferrari's side pods. Like, what happens when it rains? Because surely that just collects water like a gully.
I think it will just fly
That's a
off.
good point.
I'm assuming it'll be that fast it won't settle, but surely there'll be a residual amount that will slosh like in the like a fishbowl. Like that was my first reaction when I saw them.
Distribution?
If it's like safety car during the rain, the car will get very heavy.
Yeah, imagine if you got
It'll
like
help
Spa.
with traction.
That's a very good point, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
But they probably thought of that. I mean, I can't imagine that they didn't.
I know, but you know these engineers, they go to the extremes with the design of things. Is it comprehensible that they might have missed something like that?
Yeah, Pinnis. I mean, back in 2010, Virgin Racing had a fuel tank that didn't last the full race distance, so they had to retire early every race. So I mean,
I think it's not comprehensible, is it? They might have missed that.
Nah, they definitely did. Everyone is talking about this for the last 3 weeks. They definitely didn't miss this.
Well, you say that. You think about things like porpoising, and they miss an issue like that. Maybe you could forget that. What happens if it rains, guys?
No, but I mean, this is something which is visible, so everyone can see this.
Yeah, it's hiding in plain sight, mate.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's so sort of, now Michael said it, it's so visible and it's so obvious. I don't think they may have missed it. They may have done. Because it's that obvious.
Yeah, it's one of them things that you don't get water in a wind tunnel. So it's just one of them things that has become an afterthought.
I've got a plan. I think next week on the podcast, guys, we're going to collate loads of photos of the weirdest things on the on the cars this year, and we're just going to do a little slideshow for everyone, and we're going to put our opinions of what we think looks wrong with all the cars.
That's great. We should do like a Miss Universe, but then for the cars.
It does look like a sink, doesn't it? They almost look like two sinks either side that just dip into the thing.
It's like a basin, isn't it? No,
It looks like Eau Rouge, actually.
Oh dear, Ferrari, have you missed the trick?
I don't know if we can call it this though. I do think some of the cars will look different. Obviously, the Haas is going to look different when it starts. It starts on Thursday, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That thing about Mercedes probably doesn't terrify you because I think all constructors are going to do a development race because if you look at all the cars now, they all look ridiculously different to one another, which is exciting because they've all come up with different ideas compared to one another. But they're going to soon realise which is the fastest route, so they're all going to end up diverging and going down the same development path. So I think for now, enjoy what engineering freedom has given us with these different looking cars, because I think 2023, unless they throw a curveball to update the rules again, next season they're all going to look very, very similar.
There's also a lot of talk about this suspension as well. A lot of them have got a push rod or a pull rod, haven't they? I think there's only 2 cars on the grid that have got a push rod, isn't it? Which I think is Red Bull and McLaren.
Yes.
I think are the only 2 cars that have got the push rod. It'd be interesting to see how that works out, to be honest. I know aerodynamics is not really a big thing sort of between the pull and push rod. But in terms of driving styles, it's going to be a massive difference, isn't it? So, well, I suppose it all depends on driver preference. I suppose they would have asked the drivers, wouldn't they? What would you prefer? I would have thought.
They would have had a strong enough simulator would have allowed them to be able to test it enough. But again, you don't know the real thing until you go driving for a longer length of time. I've just seen Kevin is in the chat. Good evening. When we did all of our Tier 1 predictions, we all said that you are washed.
Yes.
Just no points earning up, Kevin, mate.
Yeah.
We're being honest.
Imagine investing in a Fanatec and not be that great. I mean to not make our top 3, sorry.
Oh dear.
He's saying love you more.
The irony is Kevin's just commented saying he loves me in the stream, but I bet he posted that before I said what I just said.
Definitely.
But no, it is definitely going to be interesting. I do think a lot of the cars are going to look completely different, but I do also think that some of the teams, because there was a big thing about which way to go in terms of development, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the teams purposely put parts on the car that they knew they weren't going to use just to see where everyone else was. But I don't know if that's me just overthinking it or
I do think there was,
theorising.
I do feel like there was a lot of bluffing at
Yeah.
Spain, and then Bahrain could be the real deal. I still think the field will be similar, like very close. But if Mercedes have ended up doing a 2019 style, because this is what they did in 2019, they did the first test with basically a spec car, and then brought a completely different car to the second test, which was the real deal, and dominated the season. But I think the field will still be close in areas, and that's where my head's at the moment. Because if a car finds a second now, another car finds a second by round 3. So you know we're very 2009, where the fastest cars at the start will not be the fastest cars at the end. So all down to how well the engineers spot where they need to go to improve the car. It depends how many cars kept development tokens. And didn't use any last season, so they can have more scope to change the car as long as it's within the cost cap.
Yeah, it does also depend on drivers, because if the drivers can't set the car up, because there was an interesting interview with Sonoda who said that he actually didn't do any car setups last year. He copied Gasly's direction each weekend.
Oh, wow.
He didn't do his own car setups. So if you haven't got a driver that is that confident in knowing how to set it up, that could be a problem as well, I think, especially in new rules.
Yeah, no, you say I think the driver that's going to struggle the most this year is actually going to be Sebastian Vettel, because I just think he's too used to having a certain style of car. I think that's probably where he struggles, sort of towards the latter parts of his Ferrari career, and also going into his Aston Martin. I just don't think he's got that capability to adapt as what I say, like Lewis Hamilton. That's my feeling.
I think for Vettel, it will all come down to clearly in that 2009 to 2013 era car, they suited his driving style very well. Now, if this new regulation of cars mean your driving style has to go back to that style of driving, then it could work out very well for him. I kind of get the impression, though, that he struggled with the turbo hybrid era and beyond, because what happened from 2014 onwards is the weight of the car increased, and these cars are even heavier. So if it's just a thing that Vettel only likes driving light racing cars and can't, or struggles compared to that to driving heavy machinery, then the way that the car development is going, the car's getting heavier and heavier, it's going to keep going downhill for him. And then it comes down to the fact of, because of where he is now compared to where he was, even in the sort of mid to latter part of his Ferrari days. I mean, he was fighting for a championship in 2018. That's not that long ago. Is his heart going to be in it as much? My head says yes, because it just feels like he has a lot of love for racing. I mean, if you watched them Grill the Grid things they did on YouTube last season on F1, where he was able to name every world champion from going back to the very start of Formula 1, his love and his passion for the sport is very, very strong. And it's more, I think, has he got a plan for post driving? Because he's a sort of driver that could, I'm thinking more get it within the FIA, because I think he's a great ambassador for the sport, and that's maybe where he could go.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, you don't see him necessarily as sort of like a team principal, do you? But yeah, you're right. You see him as sort of like FIA ambassador, or in some capacity to do with drivers association of of some sort, whether it's helping George Russell. I know George Russell is now the head of the GDPA, isn't he? So whether it's along those routes. But...
Michael Massey replacement. Too soon.
I must admit that for those that didn't watch it the other night, that documentary duel was actually really good on Sky. It was fantastic.
I'm hoping they just upload it to YouTube because I have not been able to watch it. So
it's well worth a watch if nobody's watched it so far. It's very good. I would go as far to say it rivals Drive to Survive, but the realisticness is so much better.
Okay. Okay. I'm excited for Drive to Survive as well, actually, now you mentioned that, because that's...
Friday.
11?
Friday comes out.
Monday. Midnight.
It will be very good. That is what I'm going to be watching on Friday. So.
Yeah.
Right. No one at work listens to this. I'm going to think of an excuse so I can watch it all day Friday, but you didn't hear that work.
COVID.
Oh, no, I want to keep on record. I've not tested positive for COVID yet. I'm keeping that going for as long as I can.
I've not as well, yeah.
Yeah,
I know what it is.
Well,
Your best...
the whole time. Yeah.
I've not. I'm the only one in my family that's not tested for it, actually. I mean, I've taken tests. I've just been negative each time, so I've been one of the lucky ones, I think.
You're always so negative, Bowie.
Oh, on that note, we've been going for 56 minutes and invites are out in 3 minutes whilst we've been waffling and Ricky's been out practicing us all. I think I'm going to get sorted, guys, and get ready for our race tonight that we've been previewing.
Yeah,
I think that's
also,
a great idea.
Just to note something, Discord is getting back up, so we have access to the check-ins again. So yeah.
Regardless of check-ins, Kevin's still washed.
Things you love to hear. But yeah, no, thanks for tonight, guys. Thanks everyone for listening and for watching. And yeah, the four of us will be back next Tuesday, same time for round 3. But until then, enjoy your race tonight, guys. And if you're not racing, I hope we all put on a great show for you.